Hi, I'm Alex Brown.
And I'm Nicole Smithee. We're the co-founders of Iridescent Women, an online community committed to awakening brilliance in each other through real and honest conversations and connections.
Today we're having a conversation around how we deal with unexpected loss.
And this is absolutely timely for us in the wake of the sudden tragedy, the unexpected death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and a few other people in a helicopter accident this past weekend.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were so shocked by the suddenness and kind of in disbelief that something like this could happen. And
Absolutely.
Kobe was young, he was 41, his daughter was 13, and for something like that to happen so suddenly, I think our first instinct is sometimes that that doesn't happen, that can't be true.
Right.
But it's kind of a stark realization that actually this can happen, and it is true, and it can happen to anyone, including our heroes.
I think that's part of the shock. It's somebody that we look up to. It's somebody that on paper, he had all of his life ahead of him. And for it to happen so quickly, I think it's a reminder to all of us. Death is the great equalizer. It's inevitable for everyone, and that stirs up a lot of emotions, even beyond the loss and grief of an individual who meant something to us, even though their celebrity, they could mean something significant in our lives just because of memories we have or moments, or they spark something within us. But I think beyond that, even the influence, there's just the reality of, wow, now I'm faced with death. What do I do with that? It can provoke a lot of fear, uncertainty. It can cause some reevaluating. It can do a lot of different things, and there's a lot of emotions that come with grief and loss. So I think this is a great question. So how do you deal with the complexity of emotions that grief brings, especially when it's an unexpected loss like we had this past weekend?
Right, and I think the added layer to that is it is a celebrity death, and so many of us often grieve celebrities that we like and look up to, and that can be a really hard dynamic when we haven't actually met the person.
Right.
We don't actually know them personally, but they've affected us so deeply that we actually feel that pain and grief that people who do know them feel as well. And I think that just speaks to the influence that you can have as a human. You don't have to be a celebrity, but that you can actually influence people in your daily life. And I think that's part of the answer of how you deal with a loss like this, is actually reevaluating your own life and how you interact with people, and what is your response? How do you now step out into the world, and what is the legacy that you're going to leave to the people around you?
Yeah, and to that point with legacy, I think we're reminded as we're trying to make sense of this unexpected tragedy, speaking of Kobe, that he had a lot of amazing things that he did, and some also not so bright moments. And some allegations against him and different things like that. And I think it's really hard when we're grieving to find the middle ground with people, to be able to recognize that nobody leaves a perfect legacy. I think we either in our memories make a hero out of somebody or a villain out of somebody, but the reality is we're all somewhere in between. And I think it's a great reminder to really examine all of that and let it be complicated, our response. And to give grace to people, to let people evolve, give grace to yourself. I think that's a big takeaway for me in all of this. And I think then ultimately being able to look at the people around you and say, how well did I love the people closest to me at the end of my life? Because I don't know when that's going to be. Nobody really does. So how can I love well the people that I want to love, spend the time that I want to with them? I think death gives us an opportunity to reevaluate the choices that we're making and whether or not we're putting our priorities where we want them to actually be,
Yeah, definitely. I think, and you said it best, how are we spending the time with the ones we love? Are we prioritizing them? Are we telling them? Are we talking to them with respect and love, and treating them the way that we would like them to be treated as human beings, particularly if we know that life is short? And I think that we have the capacity as humans to love so deeply and so well, and we should be able to show that to the people around us every day.
Yeah, and I think also to make sense of death, at least for me personally, my faith has played a role in that, and I think I think death allows me to reevaluate how I'm treating the people around me, what my connection is with others, and then also just what my personal beliefs are and my convictions and my faith. and how connected I am to those, I think that's actually a good thing to allow loss and grief to cause you to either reevaluate your beliefs or to lean into them even more. I think that's part of the human experience, and we shouldn't shy away from that as well. So I think that's an opportunity for us, and that we should be open to those experiences as well.
Yeah, I think a sudden loss like this can often raise questions for people of like, why them, or why did this happen, or how did this happen? And I know that, you know, in the case of this sudden death and accident, there are investigations going on, so that like people are seeking answers, and that's often such an important thing, is that seeking of answers. And sometimes we won't have all the answers, but to be able to lean into your faith, as you say, or evaluate your faith and try and understand it through that lens, I think can be a really important part of the grief journey, and how you kind of move forward in it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you might not get an answer to why, but you might, by seeking, get other answers that actually will serve you very well in life and bring a level of peace and comfort. So we want to keep the conversation going. We'd love to hear from you. How are you dealing with unexpected loss in your life? Have you ever had to deal with unexpected loss? And what was that grieving process like for you? Please let us know. Let's keep the conversation going. And we want to remind you that we really believe that honest conversations, authentic conversations, have the power to provoke change. So own your voice, share your story, and keep it real.